Good morning, y'all. This is Trevor with Carrot, coming at you with another episode of the Carrot Cast, and this is from my truck. So this is a Trevor truck talk, and just dropped my daughter off at school and heading over to the office right now. Beautiful day, and summers and spring are why you live through the rainy season in Oregon, man. Summers and spring are amazing in Oregon. And I'm crazy excited, actually. This weekend, Harvey Gronwald, one of our Carrot clients, is flying up to Oregon. He's going to spend 3 days, I believe, about 3 days with us and the Carrot crew here at Carrot HQ. Coming in Saturday, I think, and leaving Tuesday. So really looking forward to hanging out with you, Harvey. Harvey, actually, we had a contest. Not really a contest. We last October was the 1 year anniversary, if you want to call it that, of the shooting here in Roseburg, Oregon at the Mauch Community College, where 9 people were killed. And it's kind of one of those tragic, massively tragic events that affected our community, and the community really rallied around it. And an amazing entrepreneur, one of my mentors, works out of the Loft Entrepreneur Co-workspace that I've got, named Seth Bueckley. He's been on the podcast before. Check out the archives and find the episode with Seth Bueckley on passion, purpose, and ambition. Amazing episode, and he's an amazing entrepreneur. Anyway, so he was one of the guys who really pushed forward this big event, this big race called the Umpqua Strong 9K. And it was to uplift the community, to add that, to essentially, like our core values say, be that beacon of positivity and possibility. And thousands of walkers and runners came from around the country, really, to do this race. And they raised a lot of money for scholarships. And we sent an email out to our client base at Carrot. And throughout the challenge, we said, hey, anyone who's willing to chip in over, I think it was $200 or $100 would get X, they would get something. And anyone who was willing to really up the game and write a $3,000 or more check to go toward these scholarship funds at Umpqua Community College, we'd fly up here to Roseburg and put you up for a couple days and get to hang out with us. So Harvey stepped up. He texted and he said, man, I just closed another $50,000 deal, and I give away 10% of my profits to charity anyway, and this was perfect timing. And he was just really passionate about being able to help us. So I'm going to give him the tour of the area for those 3 days and hang out with him and do some masterminding. Really looking forward to it. But one thing I want to talk about today. So yesterday, and if you're listening to this, James, man, I really appreciate you calling, dude, out of the blue. I know you mentioned that you thought it might be kind of weird or whatnot, just calling out of the blue, since we hadn't talked in several years. And it wasn't weird at all, man. I mean, that stuff right there is what pumps me up. That stuff right there is what keeps an entrepreneur going, So just give everyone context listening in here. I was driving home yesterday and got a random call from a Eugene, Oregon number, and I didn't have your number in my cell phone, James, but picked up, and it was James, a guy that I've known for several years and close friends with the family of his wife, and grew up with his sister-in-law. And anyway, he just called to say, I'm really inspired by the work that you're doing. Keep it up. And he just said he just wanted to call and say he'd been listening to the podcasts and following the journey, and just was inspired. And that stuff is like fuel. That stuff is like oxygen for someone who's out there trying to do big things. And I think most people in life are really comfortable doing small things, and that's fine. And that's totally fine. That's not a knock on the person. That's not saying that the person's any better or any worse. Everyone is wired differently. Everyone has a different reason to be here. And but I think a lot of people want to do big things, but they are okay with sticking themselves in small positions. They're okay with doing small things. And what ends up happening is the people who are doing big things, the people who maybe subconsciously they're envious of, whether they want to articulate it or not, they try to put down the people who are doing big things. The people who continue to do small things don't take massive action, and they don't take massive action towards a goal. Maybe they don't even have any goals. And so everything that gets between them and their goals is the other person's fault. It's someone else's fault. It's not their fault. And this victim mentality is something that I think is permeating culture even more and more today. And this is just me being transparent. One of our core values at Carrot's transparency. And I'm actually going to do a video and even post these because I really, I'm not going to hide. Oops, recording blipped out. Someone called. I'm not going to hide the fact that we have several thousand customers. And when you have several thousand customers, there's going to be some people who just aren't on the same wavelength as you and aren't happy, right? That's just the nature of the beast. You can be delivering gold bars to someone's doorstep and you delivered it at the wrong time. There's just certain things like that certain people are just not going to be happy. And we have this thing called Net Promoter Score here at Carrot. And I highly suggest that everyone, no matter what business you run, have some sort of net promoter score that you're gauging. And Net Promoter Score basically is, how happy people are with your company, with your service as a client. And you've definitely seen a Net Promoter Score survey before. It's the very simple question. It's usually 1 to 10. How likely are you to refer this service or this company to another person? And it's just that one question. And then as soon as you choose your number, then usually up pops a box that says, hey, okay, what made you choose that reason? And inside of our software at Carrot, we serve up the Net Promoter Score to people periodically, and we get amazing feedback, things we can improve, things we're great at, and really good little pats in the back, but here's some good stuff we can improve. And a world-class Net Promoter Score, I'm talking like some of the best companies in the world don't even have a 70 Net Promoter Score. Apple, I think, is a 67. Amazon's a 66, 67. Zappos is up toward a 68, I think. Don't quote me on these exact numbers. There are some that I've seen that are 70 to 75, but you're really not going to find a whole lot of Net Promoter Scores that are over 75. There's probably some out there, but I've never seen any. And basically, it's a scale of negative 100 to positive 100. So if everyone rates you a 1, which is we don't like you at all, then you're a negative 100. If everyone rates you a 10, then you're a positive 100. And what they say are the 9s and the 10s are promoters. Those are the people who are going to go out there, tell other people about you. They're insanely happy about the service, but not only are they insanely happy about the service, they're also promoters. They're going to tell other people about you. And those are the types of clients you want. If you're a real estate investor, those are the types of clients you want. If you're a SaaS company, a software company owner, a publisher, a service business, a consultant, a toilet repairman, it doesn't matter. You want promoters. Okay. And then 7s and 8s are passives. And passives basically are the people who they're pretty darn happy with your product or service. They're probably not going to go out there and shout it from the rooftops. They're kind of your silent, happy people. They're happy, but they're not so happy. They're going to evangelize your business. All right. And one of the ways that we've grown our business here at Carrot is by having a lot of promoters. And so our Net Promoter Score right now is about a 67.5, I think, maybe up toward a 68. Which is world class. It's amazingly high. Now, we don't have 10 million customers like Apple does. We have several thousand. So you have to kind of take all of that into perspective. But the Net Promoter Score that we have is insanely high. The vast majority of people rate us a 9 or 10. We get some passives. But yesterday, we had something happen that I think has never happened in the history of Carrot. We had 2 people in a row within like 5 minutes of each other rate us a 1. And I'm looking at it going, okay, well, the first one, that happens. Those are an anomaly, but it does happen. And then the second one that came in literally with 5 minutes later, I'm going, man, so what's the deal? And I looked at both of them. They both gave us feedback. And sometimes when someone rates a company bad or they're a passive or a detractor like a 1 is, sometimes the person doesn't really take the time to actually tell you why. And as an entrepreneur, it's insanely valuable to get feedback from people on why they think what they think. Why is it that they're happy or not happy with your service? What is causing that? And the negative feedback is just as valuable, sometimes more valuable than the positive feedback. And this relays, once again, if you're a house flipper, you own apartment buildings, or you're any sort of entrepreneur, heck, even if you're a police officer in a police department, we want to know how well we're doing and we want to know the things we can do better. They both left us feedback, which is awesome. So one of the people, I'm not going to name names here, so if you're listening to this podcast, which I'm assuming you're not since you just rated us a 1, which once again was with a 67.5, a 68 Net Promoter Score, 1's like almost never happen. We've had tons and tons and tons of people give us a rating, and the vast majority, it's some insanely high number, is 9s and 10s. And then these anomalies, I want to address these anomalies, like I said, because every business gets them. One of them said basically, you guys should require your clients to actually do marketing to drive leads to your websites, because $100 a month I felt I was throwing down the tubes. And I'm going, I read it the first time, I'm going, man, like what? Yeah, of course you've got to do marketing for your business. That's kind of basic business knowledge. And I think at a very base level, us as entrepreneurs, people go out there and say, I'm a real estate investor, but you're not a real estate investor if you're wholesaling. You're likely not a real estate investor if you're flipping either, but you're definitely not a real estate investor if you're wholesaling. You're an arbitrage, in the arbitrage business. You're in the lead gen business. So if you're a wholesaler, you should get insanely great at lead gen. And how do you do lead gen? You got to market. So if you go into any type of business, if you go into any type of marketing method, whether it's a website or whether it's online marketing, whether it's pay-per-click or Google or direct mail or whatever, we've got to understand the business that we're in. If you're in the business of wholesaling real estate or wholesaling groceries or wholesaling whatever it is, you're in the marketing business, clear and dry, and that's it. You're in the marketing business. So don't go out there and expect a tool, especially that's $100 a month, to run your entire business with no effort. You can't go out there and click a button and invest $100 a month and expect things to happen for you. That's just not the way that business works. That's not the way that entrepreneurship works. So if you're tackling your business and wondering why you're not getting business, why you're not getting leads, first of all, look at your strategy. Do you have a clear and solid strategy to actually get business and get leads? Are you implementing it? Do you have urgency put on it? As in, I want to get my first 100 leads by X date. And then you can work backwards and go, okay, if I want to get my first 100 leads by, the 60th day, because I know if I get 20 leads, I'll likely close a deal that will net me X amount of money. And then those 100 leads, that will give me 5 deals or whatever your numbers are. Then you work it backwards and go, okay, if I need 100 leads in 60 days, how many leads per day is that? And so that's about 1.5 leads per day or whatever that works out to be. So then you have a measuring stick to go out there and implement. You have a measuring stick to go, okay, I've got Carrot as a tool, or I've got direct mail as a tool, or I've got my knuckles and I can go door knock as a tool. How many doors, how many pay-per-click ads, how many Craigslist ads, how many direct mail pieces do I need to put out every week to get 1.5 leads per day? Okay, so that's what this client didn't do. And once again, I'm not bashing him. If he's listening, sweet, hopefully you get something out of this. What I want people to realize is we cannot have the victim mentality. Okay, this client was with us for over a year, our system showed, and he during that year, he didn't take the initiative to go, you know what? I've got this tool. I see tons of other people are getting great results because I see them posting about it on Facebook and Bigger Pockets and all over the place. I can see overwhelming proof that this works. How do I make it work for myself? Last month, our clients generated over 36,000 online opt-in leads. That doesn't count the tens of thousands of phone call leads that our clients generated. So if we know and we can prove that it works, what is the successful path to crushing it? It's going out there and going, okay, I know that this works. Let me see what they did to make it work. And go model those people who made it work. Watch a case study and implement it. Get a training and implement it. You don't have the time to implement it? Sweet. Carve out a budget and get a budget and set that budget and say, hey, this budget, is this realistic to get my goals, first of all? So you got to work your numbers backwards. If you're a real estate investor and your average profit per deal is $20,000, work it backwards and go, okay, if I'm closing on average a deal that nets me $20,000 and it takes me 20 qualified leads to get that $20,000, then your whole aim is, how do I get those first 20 leads? How do I get the next 20? How do I get the next 20? And then you can set up your marketing methods to be based on that. And if you know that you're going to net $20,000, and we actually have a calculator, if you go to oncarrot.com/ROI, oncarrot.com/ROI, we have a calculator where you can put these things in there. And our calculator will spit these numbers out to you to give you an estimate of about what your marketing budget should be at a minimum. Like, never stop before you hit this number. If you do, you're working against math. And then we've got an estimate of a maximum. Of say, hey, here's probably about the max you want to spend at a very, very conservative ROI number. Meaning, for me, I would be more aggressive and I would usually spend over the max before that first deal came in just to have the numbers work for me. Then I'd pile those profits into my marketing again. Okay, so this client spent a year, didn't implement anything, saw the $100 a month coming out of his bank account every month where the value was there, and he then goes on to cancel, which that happens, cancel, and then let us know that it was our fault for not requiring him to go out there and invest in marketing. So this isn't a marketing lesson. This is a hopefully a wake-up call for anyone listening to this, no matter what business you're in, that if you're waiting for the world to come to you, if you're waiting for business to come to you, even if you have the best tools in the world that are going to help you get there, then it's going to be really, really hard to be an entrepreneur. It's going to be really, really hard to carve out your slice in the world. All right, so the second one that came in less than 5 minutes later was also a 1, which again was like the worst score you could possibly get, but we just get none of these. So I was going, man, like I got to dig in here. Did the person accidentally hit a 1 or what happened here? So they also left a comment, and their comment was really, really cool as well. Like, I'm glad they left these comments because it helped me to reflect and helped me to go, okay, what can we do better to make sure that people don't fall through the cracks? What can we do better to make sure that first guy that said you should require people to do marketing, what can we do to make sure that he knows that we do say you have to actually do marketing to get business? Okay. Well, the second person said, got no seller leads, and I'd been with you for almost a year, and no one at Carrot ever reached out to me to see how they could help. Okay, so let me kind of unpack that as well. And then once again, this is a great lesson for us because we're in the process of massively improving our product, and it's a really, really good lesson for us. And hopefully, you guys have some lessons in here for you as you're growing your own business. But the resources we have available for our clients kind of look like this. All right. When we originally launched Carrot, we had our software, and it wasn't that great of a software. It was a minimum viable product, but it solved the problem and it solved it well. But we had amazing support. Okay. So the first line of resource or the first line of defense for a client was the software, which was clunky and wasn't anywhere near what it is today. And we have a lot of room for improvement today to make things simpler. But then the next thing was we had great support. So you could always hit us up on email or live chat, which our competitors didn't have live chat at that time. Okay. And then what we discovered was people are going, well, shoot, I could really use some training. So we created training programs. We have the 3 lead per day training, which is 50 some odd videos, walks you through in detail from beginner to advanced, how to do SEO, how to do pay-per-click, how to do all kinds of different things, video marketing. Okay. And that's only $100. And we sell it for $100 because we want all of our clients to have access to it. We don't want the price to be a barrier. Excuse me. We don't want the price to be a barrier. But we also want to make sure people have some sort of skin in the game to commit to doing the training, because when people don't pay for something, they tend to not commit to it as well. So $100, we sell a lot of it, and it gets amazing results. The refund rate on that is almost nothing. And we've sold thousands of them over the years. And then we have Craigslist course, and then we came out with a Facebook marketing course. So we have the training side of it. And then people are like, well, I'm implementing the training, but I've got these questions. So about 2.5 years ago, we implemented what we call, at the time we called them our weekly mastermind calls. Now we call them the coaching calls, the Carrot coaching calls. So every single week you can come on Tuesdays at 11 o'clock Pacific time. And either myself or Adrian, who's a crazy successful Carrot customer, is going to teach either a topic, or we're doing open Q&A. We're doing office hours where you can ask us anything at all. And that's where I just did one yesterday. And that's where people come on and say, hey, I'm implementing this in SEO. I've gone through module 3 in the 3 lead per day training. Here's my things. I don't know what to do. What should I do next? We look at it and we tell you exactly what you should do next. If you're a new investor and you haven't implemented anything, and you say, hey, I'm new. Here's my market. Here's my budget. Here's the time I have to implement. And we're going to tell you exactly a plan to do. Okay. And then next, let's say you need like more individualized support. We've got one-on-one strategy calls right there inside of your account, inside of your Carrot account. At the top of your account, there's a massive banner with Adrian's face on it that's always there unless you click X to get rid of it, that says set up a one-on-one strategy session. Not sure what to do next to drive traffic and leads? Set up a one-on-one strategy session. And that's all included for Content Pro members, which both of those people were. So that's the question I've got, is going, okay, there's definitely things that we've made some massive efforts to put out there to help everyone that we can to try to fill all these gaps. There's definitely some things we need to do to make things simpler. I think now there's so many things out there, and this is a great lesson for those of you who are doing whatever it is, whatever business, that we have so many resources out there. Now our big effort is organizing the resources, is making sure that the resources are as easy as possible to find when you need to find them. So we've got a big effort pushing forward on that now the rest of this year. But the resources are there, and they're pretty obvious at the spots where those clients were that gave us the one. So the next question is, what is the difference? What is the difference between someone who's going to go out there and make their impact in the world and someone who's going to continually be on that hamster wheel and be a victim and blame other people and not look beyond, not look beyond the other things that other people are doing for them or could have done for them, and look into themselves more and go, okay, I know other people are doing this. I can see that they're having success with whatever this is, this tool, this software, this training, this company, this mindset, whatever it is. How do I model that? How do I create clear goals that I can get excited about? And how do I clear everything else, all distractions out, to make sure that that happens? That there's no way that I'm not going to be one of those people that sees that success. There's no way that I'm not going to be one of those people that gets that result. There's no way that I'm not going to be one of those people that makes the impact I want to make. I'm not going to detract value from other people's impact. I'm going to add value to their impact. Okay, I'm not going to go out there and blame my lack of results or lack of progress on other people. Even if you go and hire a coach and it's the worst coach in the world, the people who are not going to succeed are the people who blame that coach. Even if you just blew $10,000 and it was the worst, and it legitimately was the worst coach in the world. Okay. And I'll see a lot of people who hire amazing coaches and blame them on their lack of success. This is the exact same type of mindset that I'm talking about. And I think we all have the decision to put ourselves in one of these buckets. Am I a person who's a victim of the circumstances? Am I a person who's a victim of everything that's happening to me? Or am I a person that's going to take control of my situation? Am I a person that's going to take control of my destiny? Am I going to be a person that owns my failures? Am I going to be a person that owns my successes? Because in my opinion, if you don't own your failures, you can't fully own your successes. First of all, you're probably not going to have many of them. But second of all, it's really hard to own your successes or truly have your successes produce amazing fruits in your life if you can't even own your failures. So I know hopefully this is speaking to someone directly. And the funny thing is, if those two customers or former customers were on this podcast, I don't think that they, at the mindset that they're currently in, I don't think that this would transform their mindset. I really don't. What I know has to happen for me personally, as Tony Robbins says, the only way people make change is with a I'm going to butcher the words here, but the only way people make massive change is from a stimulus within or a stimulus without. Okay, and what he means by that is there's got to be a massive stimuli inside of you personally to make change. Okay, it's got to be you had an event happen. You had a massive epiphany. You hit rock bottom and knew that you needed to change. Or it can be an event that happened from outside of you, outside of your being. And that could be a death in the family. It could be an event in your local area that changed your mindset. It could be, for me, there were several things. For me, it was massive change within and without. I think it was a trigger on the outside that triggered my start in 2012 to really go through my massive I feel a massive transformation in mindset and life at that phase. And it was the passing of some people that I knew really well who were young. One of them was one of my brother's best friends, Nick, and I've told this story many times, but he was 34 at the time. He had 3 kids, and he was in his backyard, just gardening on a Sunday, just doing work in his backyard. And his wife and him were talking about, what they were going to be doing later in their lives, retirement, 10, 20, 30 years out. And they didn't realize he wasn't going to be there for dinner that night. And they were sitting there planning 10, 20, 30 years out. And that hit me. once again, that hit me. I mean, I remember growing up with Nick in the house all the time, with my brother. And now, you want to know what's really sobering? Is I'm 34 with 3 kids, just like Nick was. So that for me is very sobering. And that for me was a massive transformation moment on the outside. I'm like, okay, I need to reflect on my life, because I'm sitting here thinking 10, 20, 30, 40 years out, I'm delaying doing the things I know I should do in life because I think I'll have the time to do them. I'm delaying on doing the things and taking the action and taking the risks in life because I think that I'll have 10 years, 20 years to do them. I'm delaying doing the things because I thought, well, I'm young enough. I was 25, 26, whatever that age was, young enough. Actually, Nick wasn't even 34. He was early 30s, I think. So anyway, I'm young enough to where I'll get to it next year. And what happened to me over and over again every year was always next year. I'll tackle this next year. I'll do this next year. I'll start to do this next year. Okay, I'll make my business better next year. I'll sell my business next year. I'll take this bigger risk next year. Okay, I'll start to enjoy my business next year. So that happened. And then I was floating around on some YouTube videos and watched a video that really hit me hard, that I started to reflect on myself going, okay, so, I've been doing some good stuff in life. And from the outside, I think everyone looking at it was going, man, he's got it made. But from the inside, I was empty as far as everything outside of my personal, family life, amazing family, and great friends. But everything, I think, purpose-wise, I didn't know why I was here. And that's kind of a scary thing in life when you don't know why you're here. You don't know why, other than getting up and doing that work. And that work for me didn't hit me at my core as being, missionful and purposeful. And I was watching a video with Eric, the hip hop preacher, and it was his famous video. You can find it on YouTube called, I think, As Bad as You Can Breathe. So Eric, the hip hop preacher, Eric Thomas, As Bad as You Can Breathe. It was a famous video. They dubbed it over the top, I think, of a boxer. And it hit me because basically I had realized in that moment while watching the video that I was saying I wanted all this stuff, just like those clients. They say they want this. Okay, they said they wanted this. They blamed it on other people, on other entities rather than themselves, like I was doing. But like he says, you're not going to see the success you want in life at the level you want unless you want it so bad that it's as bad as your body needs to breathe. Do you want that success, or do you want that whatever, like your body needs oxygen? And in the way he just talks about it in that video, you guys need to go find it. If you're in the spot where you can resonate with that, you need to go find that video. He talks about that in that video that really hit me hard, because it's like, oh man, he talks about this young boy going out there with a mentor in the ocean, and basically the mentor makes him realize how important oxygen is for him to breathe. And he said, until you want that success that bad to where that's all you can think about, you're not going to see it. And so I started to make a mindset shift. I started to make a shift. You guys can hear it on other episodes of the Carrot Cast. I talk about it on one with Mike Blankenship, my newest Carrot team hire, about purpose and mission. We dive into it in more detail, but the cliff notes of it is basically I was looking, okay, why is it that I haven't given myself permission to really succeed at the level and make the impact at the level that I want to make? And I think I was beating myself up because I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't really, I thought I had to build a business based on my passion. I thought I had to build a business based on golf or mountain biking because those are my passions. I love those things, but I couldn't figure out a way to build a business out of them. And I thought, well, therefore I'm just failing at entrepreneurship, even though I'm doing well financially. And then purpose-wise, I was like, man, well, I would make up purposes thinking that those were them, but none of them hit me at my core, and I was beating myself up over it. So one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to stop trying to find my purpose. I'm going to bag that. I'm going to get out of my truck right now and walk to the office. I'm going to bag that. And I'm just going to make my purpose doing the best that I can possibly do at everything in life. The small stuff, the big stuff. And once again, go find that episode of the Carrot Cast. It was about a month back with Mike Blankenship on purpose and passion, and I go over that in more detail. So I'm going to wrap this in a bow and head into the office. But basically, This speaks to people who are newer in whatever you're doing, entrepreneurship, your career, school, whatever. This speaks to people who are really experienced and you're stuck. You're stuck in a level where you can't seem to transcend beyond that. And we've got to really look at ourselves and go, okay, what is it that we are doing that is showing the victim mentality? Are we being a victim? Are we going out there and finding reasons why we're not succeeding that are outside of our control? Are we blaming people on certain things that we should just go, okay, well, shoot, that didn't work. Let me move on to the next thing. Are we putting urgency on seeing that success, whatever that is, and realizing that life doesn't last forever, or are we going out there and just thinking that it'll happen the next year, and the next year, and the next year, so go out there and figure that out. But as I'm getting into the office, hopefully you choose, if you haven't already, hopefully you choose to make that mindset shift personally from finding reasons why things are not working for you to creating action and reasons why they will. Okay, from finding negativity out there in the world, or being a beacon of negativity, even worse, versus finding positivity, seeking positivity, and being that beacon of positivity and possibility. There's way too much negativity in this world, guys and gals, way too much. And the more that you're going out there and being that beacon of positivity and possibility, like our core values say, the more you're going out there and sharing the amazing stuff, not being blind to the bad stuff. We got to recognize that's there. Not being blind that there's a lot of negativity out there, recognizing it's there, but consciously choosing to ignore it, consciously choosing to drown it out with so much positivity that the positivity overwhelms the negativity in everyone around you. And this is one of the reasons why I do this podcast. I don't do this podcast because we make money on it. We don't sell any ads. I'm sure we get some customers from it, but I don't know how to track that. We do that because we believe in helping uplift people. We believe that there's way too much negativity. We want to be putting out positivity in every way we can. And if this hits you, I want you to share this podcast with someone who really needs to hear this. You need to share this podcast. If you think it's corny and you think it's, oh man, I'm not going to share this with this person because they're going to think it's corny, I think then right there, we're consciously making that decision to let those other people wallow in negativity, to wallow in the things that are holding them down. So share the resources with them that are working great. Buy your friend a book, or your spouse or your colleague a book that uplifts them. Send them a podcast like this episode that uplifts them. Find places and ways to do things to uplift people. This afternoon at 5 o'clock Pacific time here in Roseburg, we're having our monthly entrepreneur pub talk. We started these in 2010, and we do them usually in our offices here at the loft, but this one's going to be outside today. Hopefully the weather holds up. But this one's going to be outside today, and it's going to be showing some new development that some amazing visionary real estate investors are doing. And what we always want to do is have people walk away from those with a lot of positivity and about what the community is doing, about what they're doing, and we just really enjoy those. So go out there, guys and gals. I'm getting kind of short of breath here, sorry. So go out there, guys and gals, and find one person today to change the conversation in their minds, from one that's defeating them, from one that's putting themselves down and other people down, to one that uplifts them. And root out whatever in your mindset is blaming other people for your lack of success or your lack of results. Get clear on your goals, create some urgency, and get out there and get shit done. All right, I'm heading into the office. Have an amazing rest of the week. Share up the Carrot Cast. Give us a rating and review on iTunes. That stuff is exactly what fuels me to keep doing these. I've got a call from once again, looping all the way back around to James. He said, man, keep doing that because it's inspiring people, and we're going to keep doing it. So thanks. Have an amazing rest of the week. Bye-bye.